Hello, my friends. I'd like to introduce you to the Garbage Guardian, aka the Sphinx, aka the Oracle. She has an upcoming role in the Cybertron Rising series, and in order to make this, you actually don't need 3 Axelgreases. You just need one Scraphook, and a tow line or something like that. But for color parity, I use 3 axles, and I'm going to teach you how to make her today. Man, her beauty and her glory is really hard to capture on camera. This is when you realize how sophisticated the human eye is. The human eye, like my eyes, can see everything all at once, while the camera can only see certain perspectives. But boy, is she beautiful. I love her stance. Exudes so much strength with the legs kind of like kind of coming outward, that A stance. It's really quite beautiful. And as you can see, those special bits found in the Axelgrease mold are only really used here and here and here extraneously. Where you actually need them is here. To form the shoulders for the arms, and that's why I was saying you only really need 1 axle mold. And so yeah, we're going to break her down. My lady, I appreciate you letting us do this, and so let's get to it, Druid. The easy bits. We're just going to unfold the arms, and boy, I love these engines on top. Is that not cool? I love all of this. I love everything about this. This is probably my favorite build consisting of the 3. And so showing the arm over here, it's just a standard arm, one of the little engine blasters, and she's holding that same little accessory with the little hookup at the front. But yeah, that's the arm, and it's extremely easy. And you just make 2 of those G.I. Joes and you put them to the side. I'm going to start removing her legs. I feel so bad. I feel like I'm dissecting her or something. And in terms of the leg formation, there's a Japanese builder. Oh boy, they don't really build too frequently. And so I don't know the name off the top of my head. They were the first one that I saw do this, and I can't find them anymore on X. They basically utilized this and plug the shin, the calf, into the hand to create this cool, what do you call this? There's a certain thing, the reverse knee. I keep forgetting what that thing is called. But anyway, I originally didn't do it because I just thought this connection was a little bit too shallow, but not shallow, but a little weak. But seeing them do it gave me the kind of courage to try, and I'm glad that I did. And so again, you can see that it's 1 arm, just 1 leg, and this as a heel support. And these are going to be the front legs, and the back legs are pretty similar. And so yeah, and having it on this pivot really allows you to get into that A stance, move it around, and gives you a lot of cool poses with it. Pretty much these are the same. Yeah, essentially, but other than these little bits in the back, and I like having those in the back to make it look like these are exhaust and kind of give it some boom, 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 right? So as you can see, this build is incredibly easy. We're almost done, and I know this looks complex. It's not actually, because look, you can just start. You see how it's all unfolding and like coming apart, and so. But when you put it together, boy, does that look cool, right? It just looks like this one big solid thing. But no, everything is just connected via like, how is it? I was like, wait a minute. Okay. The bays of this car are plugged into the side of her thighs. Easy, right? So on the bottom, I mean, this is just an Axelgrease torso with the Axelgrease legs. And you just have it kind of configured like this. I don't want to undo the configuration because I want to kind of put her back. But yeah, just kind of stare at it a second, and I think you can figure it out, right? And if not, just pause the video and look at it. And this over here, same thing. These 2 torsos are attached by connecting these bays into these thighs. And so this one's a little easier to understand, right? It's just the axle torso, legs bent back, these bays ready to connect into her legs. And this is final axle torso. Again, not that difficult to comprehend. You just need to kind of stare at it a second, and if you and especially if you build, like, I don't really need to explain this to you, then you can understand or pause it and figure it out. The only difference is that on top over here we have the engine blocks plugged into the knees, the engine blocks plugged into those axle accessories, and those are just plugged into the doors, right? Look how easy that was. But I'm not gonna lie, I didn't just come up with this overnight. I think it took me. I made V1, and then I just let it sit. I just let it simmer on the stove because that's one of the things that I do after I build. Instead of just throwing it out there, I actually like letting it marinate in the juices. And so I'll either, and what I mean by that is the creative juices, like your imagination. and I'll set the build down and I won't mess with it for another couple of days. I'll keep looking at it every now and then, but I won't touch it. I'll just keep looking at it. And on the second day, on the 40th hour usually, or the 20th, 24th hour or whatever, I'll go back and mess with it. Yeah. And I usually mess with it in the morning because one of the things, and this is true, my cousin's a neurologist and she's confirmed this as well. One second. Sorry about that. In the morning, actually, your brain, so there, when you have a thought and then you execute upon that thought, there's actually several stages. Once you have an idea and before it becomes like action, what actually happens is it goes through several like filters. Your brain starts to ask, like, is it okay for me to do this? Like, is this going to put us in harm's way? Are there opportunities here? It does an assessment. It does a quality check. And like, yeah, and not only does that go just for your actions, it also goes into like creative thought as well. So there's always like the secondary voice that's kind of like checking you on stuff. But in the morning, that secondary voice is actually slower to wake up. Did you know that? And so when you get up, that's when I commit some time to thinking about creative projects, about like how I want to do some skits, how I want to just do some reviews, like how I want to present this. Yeah, so that's what I do at least. It's a lot of fun to me. I love doing remixes on my own builds, and I love being able to conjure better versions of them, V2s and V3s, just by letting them marinate in their own sauces and stuff like that. And this is one of them. I'm very, very, very pleased with her. Yeah, and so again, this has been the Oracle, the Sphinx, the Garbage Guardian, and I hope to be able to continue the Cybertron Rising series soon, but you're not going to see it for several months, and I'll explain in the future, okay? Thanks for being here, friends. I appreciate you watching, and especially if you're a builder and you watch to the end, yo, kudos to you. Keep that flame alive. There aren't enough of us out there. There aren't enough of us. People say it's part of a niche part of this hobby, and that, yeah, and they don't think it's really, they don't really think it's part of the play patterns that Hasbro endorses. I challenge them on that because, hey, I've been shouted out on the Hasbro live stream, and they encourage people to build with the 5mm ports, and so perhaps it used to be a niche hobby on the fringes of the main fandom, but I argue that is no longer the case. We are now a part of the mainstream, and I mean that in the best way possible. Anyway, talk to you soon.